Okay, we're live. You were
Yeah,
just gonna say something?
yeah. I guess they discovered a whole new creature over in Australia.
Go on then.
Came up to the shore in Australia and says, "Hey, mate, where's the Barbie?" No, I guess they discovered they were diving and I guess they discovered some kind of a new or old ancient how to say it creature in one of the deep caves over in Australia. So it's going to be interesting to see what they really are.
Really? Oh, I thought you was
Yeah.
going to tell me a joke or something then.
Oh
You
no.
mean serious for a change?
Well, you heard about Trump, right?
I've not heard
No,
anything.
he had a near death experience where he went to heaven. He met Saint Peter at the gate. And Saint Peter said, "Well, I don't know why you're here, but come on in." And they were walking down this hallway, and all kinds of clocks on the wall. And Trump said, "What are those clocks for?" He said, "Oh, those are clocks that represent every human being on the earth." And they said, the one hand moves when they to see how many lies they told on the earth when they were alive. And she said, "Well, that one hasn't moved." "Oh, that's Sister Teresa. She never lied." So her clock never moved. Went along, it says the clock. She said, "Well, how come that one moved just a little bit?" "Well, that was Saint Bernadette. She only lied twice. So it only moved a couple of seconds." He said, "So everybody's on the wall, right? That is on Earth." And he says, "Yeah." He said, "Well, where's mine?" He said, "You don't have one on the wall." "What? I was president of the United States. That was very important. I should have a clock." He said, "Well, your clock is not on the wall." "Well, how come?" He said, "Because God has it in his office." Wow. He goes, "I must really be important." So they went to, knocked on the door, walked into God's office, and they looked and they had Trump's clock going zzz, continuous motion.
Oh, good. We
Oh,
started off
so
in.
how's things been going in England?
It's been really, really hot, and now it's just started to get wet.
Everybody here they're getting hot. But we're cool. Yesterday was only like 69, and we've been getting a lot of rain where everybody else. We're getting tremendous tornadoes. Whoa, massive ones, doing all kinds of damages.
Well, we work. Well, I work in Celsius. We had temperatures of over 30 degrees, which is the
Whoa.
hottest May we've ever had, apparently.
Yeah. Well, that particular area, it's funny because they're predicting that it's going to really be a scorcher for like France, England, Germany, all those countries there. But then there's also predicting that within about 2 years, you guys are going to have a freeze.
They've said that before. If we're going to have one or the other, I'll go with the freeze, probably.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
and a
what's
lot
your
of
thoughts on global warming then? Is it man made or is it natural?
it's man-made because I shouldn't say man-made, human-made because of all the things that they're disrupting it. They're creating things around the world now that is not natural. They're taking things out of the earth. They're destroying the trees. And the trees basically played a very important role in causing the climate to stay put in certain places. Now, with no trees, there's no barrier. So all kinds of climate change is coming because we're screwing up ecology. And that's why we're having more volcanoes, we're having more earthquakes, because it's like I said before, you take a car and you run it, and you don't put no oil in it, the engine eventually blows up. So they're not replacing anything in the earth. They're just taking resources. And when you start screwing, you go deeper and deeper into the earth, you're getting closer and closer to the magna. that is in the center. So now it's starting to explode. Even in the ocean now, they're starting to basically screw things up. So it's something to do with ecology and the way that they're doing things. Like even water, we're consuming so much water that, well, the water and the oil keep the Earth's center cool. But with, 8.5 billion people drinking all the dang water, how long do you think it's going to last? Even the polar is melting. And it's funny because I would say maybe 15, 16 years ago, I had a vision. And they said that polar caps would start melting because there was a magma underneath the polar. And that as they take the resources, as they get closer, there's no protection. So in the vision, they said the polar caps will melt. And when they melt, they're going to destroy a lot of cities because of the water level going up. And that's already been predicted. So one of my predictions actually came true. That what I've seen.
Well, I'm just going to throw it out to you. This isn't my personal opinion, but some people say that the Earth goes through cycles. There's the sun and all those other things, and that the rise in temperatures are just because of sunspots and the cycles that nature's gone through, because the planet's gone through ice ages. What do you say to those people?
Well, in prehistoric times, you got to remember too, the Earth was still developing. And certain things were happening. It got cool, it got hot, it got cool, and it got hot because the whole change, ecology change, the Earth was growing. It was cooling off. It was basically getting hot, so it hadn't settled yet. And then it finally settled, and for a long time we didn't have any problems. Now we're having all kinds of problems all over the world.
But if you look at the time frame that we've been here, it's only a small fraction, isn't it? And so in a million years' time, who knows what, even if we weren't here, would you say that the Earth would still, if we weren't here, would the ecology be the same, life supporting then in a million years' time?
Well, look at the timetable. It took billions of years for the Earth to develop. In the last 200 years, human beings have caused more change than the change that happened for 2 million years. So the humans have a lot, at fault for causing a lot of different things that's happening. They're killing the ozone layer, by all the pollution and everything that's going into the Earth. They're killing the trees, which give us the oxygen to survive. And it basically, again, is causing the ozone, to break up. So again, we as human beings are so destructive that we are destroying the world. And like I said, they've done more to destroy the world in the last 200 years than it took the Earth itself billions of years. So we're at the point where we are going to be, and the predictions are coming out that humanity or human beings will go partially extinct by 2040. That's what a lot of predictions are coming out now. The scientists are saying that the Earth cannot survive the onslaught that humans are doing at this particular point.
Yeah, and it's not helping with your president wanting to, drill everywhere, revert from natural, renewables, and his crazy idea that wind turbines give you cancer.
Well, the latest rumor was that in one of his ravens, he decided to bomb, is it Omar? Because they wouldn't support Trump on his battle against Iran. So now he's actually telling, the Arab nations that they have to support Israel. and all of a sudden the lines went dead. But if you guy, like I said, human beings are causing a lot of problems on Earth. Look what they're doing, the Republican Party. They know this guy is crazy. They know basically that he'll do anything and actually cause a nuclear war, that they won't stop him. I'm just hoping that in the midterms now, that number one, the Democrats get in control. And the whole idea, when you look at Congress, aren't they there to represent the people? But yet they represent Trump. So they're cutting their own throats, and they're cutting the throat of the world by not getting rid of this crazy man.
The thing that puzzles me on all that is, I know that they're greedy bastards and all that are just interested in money, but they also have kids. So do they not care about that their kids and grandkids are, going to inherit a world that's knackered?
Well, Trump wants to be a god. You know, everything that he does, like he filled his office with full of gold all over. And the whole idea that he wanted to build a ballroom, and the ballroom was mainly because he wanted to put a bunker underneath. And then to sit there and have statues of him. He wanted statues, he wanted buildings with his names on, he wanted airports with his name on it. But he doesn't realize that they may put his name on these things, but once he's gone, they'll take it off. It's not going to last. But he's such a dang control freak that he doesn't understand that repercussions, are going to come.
Am I correct in saying that they built a gold statue of him in Florida already?
Yeah.
That's real?
Yeah, him and Epstein.
Talking of that, at the start of the year, they was going to release the Epstein files, and they have done so much and redacted it. And at the time, you said that would be it. It wouldn't be long before people start getting arrested and stuff. But as far as I'm aware, it's not really done anything yet. Why is that then?
What now?
At the start of the year,
Yeah.
when they were releasing the Epstein files, you said that was it. His number's up, and so would a lot of other people. And yet, here we are 4 or 5 months later, and it's like, I know this the distractions of war, Venezuela, Cuba, and all that he keeps doing, but why hasn't anybody really been arrested over the Epstein files?
Because number one, all these things that Trump's doing is trying to get people to quit focusing on the Epstein files. And then when you have the Attorney General of the United States, the head of the FBI, basically hiding the evidence and destroying the evidence, they came out and the Republicans said that there was nothing wrong that Trump did. He's not mentioned in the Epstein file of doing anything wrong. And it's all there. You have, what was it, 40-some witnesses, and yet they won't listen to him. So anyway, the whole idea has come to the point where he's trying to stop the Epstein files because the fact that, number one, there's enough evidence there to put him in jail. And they put a lot of people in jail. He's got a lot of billionaires that would go into jail because they were part of this whole situation.
Yeah, that's the bit I'm talking about.
Yeah, you have the money, you control.
Yeah, I can see why Trump's not been arrested yet, because he's the fucking president, and he can wiggle around. But there must be some people on that list that should have been arrested by now. Why haven't they been arrested?
Well, there's so much on media, social media now, saying why he does all this stuff. Like, say for instance, he bought a lot of stock in Dell, the computer company, and then he bought a lot of stocks in other areas. And guess what? They turned around and they gave the companies he invested in billion-dollar contracts. So again, he was making money because he bought stock in those particular situations.
Right. I think most people will assume that most rich people are a bit dodgy at least. Not all of them, but a lot of them are dodgy. But they usually are. They do it discreetly, don't they, when they're doing dodgy deals and that.
Yeah.
Trump is blatantly obvious that he's insider trading, giving out contracts to people or buying stocks in it. How the fuck is he getting away with it in your country, which prides itself on the Constitution and stuff?
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, corruption rules. And people don't realize that they're cutting their own throats. And it's gonna, when the time comes, and they're going to be judged on their actions, and they have to take a look at their actions, well, it's going to be too late. And to get on that subject, I've had several visions. And in the visions, the elders, the life force energies, came. And they weren't very happy. They were very, very sad. And I sat in council with them, and I asked them, why is there such a sadness in the energies, in the life force energies, and the elders? They said, because people have not focused on important things about life. And they said, remember the 2 stories that you told. And I said, what stories? The one with the ant. And I said, I remember it. And they said, would you tell us it again so that you understand why you're there? I said, well, there was this warrior who went to the spiritual elder and asked him to be placed on the hill so that he could have a vision of who he was and the power he held. So the elder agreed, did all the ceremonies, placed him on the hill, put him within the sacred circle. So that night, when he was sitting praying, there was something that touched his toe. And he looked down, and there was this little ant. And he said, what are you doing here? And the ant didn't answer him. And the warrior said, I am here so that the great eagle will come and give me my vision of who I am and what my connection is to the Creator. So I don't want to be bothered. So he picked up the ant and he threw him outside the circle. So prayed some more. The sun came up. Nothing happened. Sat there all day in meditation. And that night, the second night, he sat there. And all of a sudden, he could feel something on his toe again. He looked out, and there was that same ant. And he said, I told you, I am waiting for the great eagle to come, to give me a vision, to show me my connection, what my power is. So he took the ant, and he threw him further out. He said, now, don't bother me. So continued to meditate and pray, and sun came up and everything, and all day, nothing happened. The third night, he sat there, and again, he was praying and meditation, and he felt something, and looked up, and there was that same ant. And he said, I told you, I am waiting here, and I'm praying for my vision, for the great eagle to bring me my vision, and to show me my connection. He said, so I don't want to be bothered by you anymore. So he grabbed him, and he threw him as far away as he could, down the mountain. And nothing happened. Third night, or the fourth night, sat there, no vision. And he got mad. And he left the circle and walked down, and he was hollering at the elder. You put me on the hill and nothing happened. He said, I waited for 4 nights and 4 days for my vision, for the great eagle to come to me and show me who I was. And the elder started to laugh. He said, why are you laughing? He said, because your mind was so attached to a great eagle to come to you, give you your vision, that little ant was the creator, in the form of the creator that was going to give you your sacred song and your power, and you threw it away. Again, ego. The mind basically again took control, and he didn't let his heart go out, and not realizing that the ant himself was the messenger, because he wanted the great eagle. I said, then you remember. And he said, this is the problem with people. They said, human beings. They said, we send messengers and they won't listen. They said, to give you another example, they said, this guy who was given a great gift by the energies, and he sat there and they told everybody on the boat that if you want to learn my gift, at 12 o'clock tomorrow at noon, I will be on the boat, in the front of the boat. So anybody that wants to learn my gift, come. So at noon, everybody on that boat went to forward on that boat to where he was, and the boat sank. And so they said, people that don't realize that they all have a gift, but they're willing to sit there and have people teach them something that doesn't belong to them. And because it doesn't belong to them, then they never find their pathway. They're so into the mental state of thinking this great eagle is going to come, that the answer has always been in front of them. All they had to do was look. All they had to do was look with their heart, and they would have gotten their answer. This is why they said that so much things are happening on the earth today, because people are not interested in finding out who they are. They want to be someone else. And this is a very important lesson for me to say, this is why I'm here. This is why my name is one who is needed by the people, to bring them the message of truth. But how many people are willing to listen to the truth? Even with the telecast, that the people who are watching this, why aren't they going out and telling people, you need to hear this? You need to basically check the podcast. A lot of information is there that'll help you to find your own pathway. I mean, every time you look on there, people are running seminars, running workshops to teach people how to get their gift that they have. You never sit down and say, look, let me give you the tools, let me give you the ceremonies that will help you find out who you are, how to go into vision. But when you go into that vision, don't preset your mind of what you want to see, because otherwise you're going to see things that aren't true. You got to go in there with your heart and just say, whatever comes, accept it. And if you accept it, it will tell you who you are and what candle you happen to belong to in the power or the source of the power. But people need to get out. It's important because, the energies are almost ready to give up on human beings. And only take those now who really believe and basically give them the things that they need. The other ones will be shoved to the side. And when it's too late, when they finally realize how important it is to find out who they are, it's going to be too late. So they need to get off the couch, get off the easy chair, and they need to start looking for who they are, what their pathway is. And like I said, I'm willing to give them the tools that will allow them to find out who they are. I will show them ceremonies that they can do, and the ceremonies are geared to find out. It's just like I tell people, why do we go to people sometimes to get answers when the answers are there with a simple ceremony? Ask, and you give a gift to the source of the power, and whatever energy accepts that gift, they'll come to you in a vision, and they will tell you your answer. Or they will tell you, it's not time for you to know yet. Be patient. And there are ceremonies that would actually help people to go into a vision, to go into what they'll say a dream, but there really is a vision, and they'll get their answers.
I didn't want to say anything because everything you were saying there was great. When you say you'll get answers, will they be blatantly obvious answers?
Yeah, they'll be very clear to you. They won't don't try to like BS you. They'll show you, but you have to have an open heart in order to understand it, because if you let your mind go, you'll interpret that vision the way you want it to be,
Well,
not
that's
the way
why I
it's
was
meant to
asking,
be.
because you say you'll interpret it your way. That's why I say, well, there you go. Look, this is your path, this is your gift, this is what you should be doing. Is it that clear?
That's very clear,
Right.
when it comes to you. But again, it's like the ant. They want something else. And they don't realize that that's the gift, the most powerful gift that they will get. So they can't sit there and try to interpret it right away with the mind. If they don't quite understand it yet, even though it's clear, don't try to interpret it. And all of a sudden, maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month later, you'll be, say, driving down the Carlson, boom, the answer comes. And you say, the bells go off, everything goes. That's what it meant.
What's the odds of a talking ant coming to you, though?
Well, it was funny you say that because when I first told that story, everybody was sitting there and it was kind of like they were in a trance. And I said, what's the matter? It was the story bad? And they said, no. And they pointed down and looked down. There was an ant by my toe. And they just couldn't believe it. And I couldn't believe it that there was an ant sitting right there. And that was just, again, approval that the story was correct.
Well, no,
As soon as they finished it, and I looked and I seen the ant left.
well, I think I've told it you before, but I've had a few incidents with ants where people were getting infestations, and like I just saw a few of them, and I actually fed them, and like I didn't get the infestation.
Yeah, it's like I said, you can give them a message, and it's like I said, you don't. Sometimes you don't have to physically say it; you just have to think it, put it in your head, and then get a picture and give it to them, and tell them, please stay away. You know, and they do it.
Right. Here's a weird one. Well, I think it's weird, but to you it's probably quite natural. When I walk the dog along the canal, there's like gnat type things at this time of year. And most people will be doing all this kind of business. I started doing this and just like going, excuse me, I'm just passing by, and they have cleared and let me a path through. Does that seem weird to you or
Not
normal?
really. Not normal.
Normal. And what? Because like Indian yogis, as in India the country, um, some of them can sit there, in meditation, and snakes won't attack them because of that heart or energy. Is that possible? Obviously not for normal people, but with all of nature's creations, then to not be harmed by them.
Well, it's the whole idea that nature itself will understand certain things. Look at okay, let's take the movie Dances with Wolves. The wolf sat there and they growled at her. They didn't attack her, but didn't trust him. And he started feeding him. At first, he wouldn't take the food. He had to put it outside. So the wolf came and ate the food, and then would get closer and closer until he was eating it from his hand. The wolf understood that he was not there to harm him. So then all of a sudden they become great friends, and the wolf started to protect him. So again, nature will understand certain type of kindness. It's like how can people sit there sometimes you sit there and they're in the middle of a bunch of lions and the lions are playing with them. They're hugging them. The bears are hugging people like that one bear that basically the grizzly bear. Him and the guy found him as a cub and he grew and just before the grizzly bear passed, he went got him and he pulled him over and he laid down and the man laid down with him and the bear put his paws and claw, around him and he passed on because he wanted that person by him when he passed on. So a lot of stories are out there, where nature itself accepts you once they understand who you are and why you're doing certain things, and they won't bother you.
Do you think that you could do that?
I've had that experiences sometimes. I know Matthew has had experiences with with dogs and stuff. Like we had a shepherd's dog, and he was mean. And I know my brother said, "Well, he's there to protect the horses and stuff like that." But I said, "Don't go near him because he'll bite you. He'll attack you." And so I sat there and I happened to look out the window. Guess who's relaxing with the dogs? With that particular dog? Matthew. They just connected. And the dog sat there, and my brother said, "I don't believe that." He said, "That dog doesn't like anybody." And even another time when Matthew was out there and he was standing by the corral gate, and all the horses came up to him. So he started feeding them. Hand by hand, he would grab the oats and he'd go feed them one by one. But the animals seem to connect with him. I mean, even the dogs we have now, I mean, they protect him. They understand, that he's the alpha.
Right, we've got 3 minutes. I was going
Okay.
3 minutes. 3 minutes left.
But we need to encourage the people that are watching the broadcast to get the word out because it doesn't do any good if we're just doing talking and then it only goes to a few people. We should have thousands of people listening to the broadcast now because within the broadcast is a lot of information that they need to understand. And if they don't understand it, I'm here. Ask the question. You know,
Exactly.
if the phone or the broadcast should be basically lit up, with people trying to find their pathway. But that's why the elders said they're not interested in finding their pathway. They're interested in just doing their own thing. I mean, every time you turn the TV on, this is how you make money.
But you
it's,
do
it's
need
just,
to make money
yeah,
to
it's just
survive.
greed, 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 greed after greed. You know,
I'm not greedy. I just need enough. Be nice to have enough. Any final words then before I end the
Well,
broadcast?
all I gotta say is it's time for people to wake up. If they wake up, they have a very good chance of connecting. But if they sit there on the couch and don't do nothing, it's fun. Like I said, when I'm there, I can inspire people. But the minute I leave, a week later, they're back to normal again. They're not following their pathway. They're not doing anything. I mean, I should be full time over in Europe right now, doing lectures, doing workshops, and showing people exactly what needs to be done. Building the lodges, the Mother Earth lodges, because that's a great way of them also connecting. And then I've been shown that I don't just do the Mother Earth Lodge anymore. Before they go in, I do a small workshop to show them how to get the most out of their experience within the womb of Mother Earth. So that they already know before they go in, they offer tobacco because once they get in there, again, they ask their question or they ask what they want to know. So it's kind of like a double whammy. They've taken the time to give a gift, and then when they go into the lodge, whoever accepts that gift will help them. So it's gotten a little more, not technical, but a lot more information on how people can get more out of the Mother Earth lodge than just going in there. Because if you go into the lodge and you don't know why you're going in there, you know, half the battle is knowing why you're in there. That's why they told me, they said, explain the Mother Earth lodge before they go in. They said this will help them to connect even more once they're in there.
Right, I've ended the stream now because we're going to get cut off literally any second now because we're down to the last minute. I'll drop you a message through Messenger tomorrow